Hi everyone, if you enjoy cemeteries as I do, leave the name of your favorite cemetery in a comment below. Maybe I will visit it. On today's episode of The Cemetery Detective, we will study comb grave structures of the Cumberland Plateau. I first learned about comb graves during the 2017 Association for Gravestone Studies conference in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I have seen these graves before, but never knew what they were called nor anything about their history. I was surprised to learn of their cultural significance and even more surprised to learn I live a short drive from cemeteries with large concentrations of these grave structures. On this episode of The Cemetery Detective, we will study the cemeteries and comb graves of the Cumberland Plateau. On an absolutely frigid January morning, I hopped into my van for a drive along US 111, across Walden Ridge, and through the Sequatchie Valley. Climbing out of the valley and onto Cagle Mountain, I made my first stop at Magoffin Cemetery, where I saw a single grave with the familiar tent shape. Onward I drove to Mount Pleasant Cemetery. Though I did not find any comb graves here, I was taken with the long, potluck-style picnic table just behind the church. Here, generations of churchgoers have held luncheons after their Decoration Day cemetery cleanups, a tradition in the South. On my way northward, I detoured to Fall Creek Falls State Park to hike their trails, scramble across the swinging bridge, and view their ice-covered waterfalls. I didn't have all day to waste. I was on a cemetery hunting trip looking for comb graves. I crisscrossed the countryside to find Miller Cemetery, Blackburn Cemetery, Blankenship Cemetery, and many others. But I did not find significant numbers of comb graves, so I sped onward to Sparta, Tennessee, and Mount Gilead Cemetery as my next stop. I'm at the Mount Gilead Cemetery where there are numerous tent graves. I never imagined there would be this many. I want to share them with you. Comb graves are named as a reference to their resemblance to the ridge of a roof, also known as a comb. Sometimes these graves are called tent graves. There are many ideas as to the genesis of the comb grave structure, but it is unknown whether they began as an attempt to keep livestock from grazing on top of graves, or to prevent soil erosion, or simply to mimic a traditional house gable. In his paper, The Tennessee Comb Grave Traditions, Dr. Richard Finch proposes that style alone was probably a sufficient reason for comb graves to become so highly popular in this area. It's true, they are stylish and quite aesthetically striking. I found many comb graves in and around Sparta, including within the old Sparta city cemetery, close to the middle of town. And I also located this fantastic find down a narrow, rocky road in the middle of farm country. This will be my final cemetery of the day. I find myself at sunset in the middle of a huge pasture on private land in a cemetery with about 10 comb graves. This is a fantastic find. I cannot wait to share this with you. That'll be all for today's adventure. I'm cold and I'm hungry and I really need to get home. Thank you for sharing my journey with me, and thank you for sharing my love of cemeteries. If you would like to see more of my videos, check me out on YouTube or through my website. Just search for thecemeterydetective.com.